Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you guys continue to support me each and every week by watching my videos, sending me feedback and subscribing, sharing with your friends. Your support makes me want to continue doing this each and every week. So this week, I wanted to talk to mothers who at work are anxious about what could go wrong at home, because I went through that in 2018 when everything went wrong. I came back from work and my son was unwell. He had a running stomach and he couldn't keep anything down. So I called my boss and I asked him if I could skip work the following day so that I can observe my son. And so the following day we went to hospital. He got checked. They did all manner of tests and they couldn't find anything wrong with my boy. So they gave him some probiotics and sent us home. And so when we came back home, he kept on crying. He kept on crying. We couldn't comfort this boy. And so I it was just a very long day for us. And at night it got even worse because he kept on crying. And so we couldn't put him to bed in his bed. So we had to take him into ours and we slept with the boy throughout the night crying. And at 3 a.m., I felt maybe the probiotics had worked, whatever bug was in his stomach had been cleared, and maybe he was hungry. And so I woke up, into the kitchen, and I made some cerelac for my boy. And he ate. By the grace of God, he ate. He didn't puke. And I kept on consoling this boy because he kept on crying. So I rocked the baby, and then at some point he kept quiet. When he kept quiet, because I was so tired, I felt maybe, oh yeah, the baby has fallen asleep. So I put him next to me and I went to sleep. It was at 5 a.m. when he kept quiet. At 6 a.m. I wake up, I look at the boy, and I see he had the same expression he had when he kept quiet, and I knew there was something wrong. So I woke my husband up and I told him there's something wrong with this boy. My husband was like, no, he's asleep. I was like, no, he's not asleep. The same expression he had on his face when he kept quiet at night is the same expression he has right now. And so he picked him up. When he picked him up, his head hit his back. And I knew there's something terribly wrong. I knew this is the point where Mungu anafaa kukuja na asitumane. Yani, God needs to come himself. And so I lost it because, you don't want to be in the same room when I don't even want to say those words. So I ran away. I ran and I caught myself trying to leave the house. And it was that feeling of, there's a crisis, I need to call the mother of the house. Confidence. I was the mother of the house. So just when I was about to exit the house, I caught myself and I had to go back. I took the baby. My husband gathered whatever clothes we could gather for the boy, and we went to hospital. When we got to hospital, the doctor just took him into the resuscitation room, and they started trying to find a line. All his veins had collapsed and they were really, really struggling. They started shaving the boy because they couldn't find any vein. All the veins had collapsed, and so now they started looking for a vein on his head. And so they started shaving him on this side and on this side, and there was a medic on this side and another one on this side. I went into the waiting room, and for the life of me, I couldn't pray. I would start a prayer, but then it wouldn't end. I would start crying, and I knew this is not the point where I should be afraid. I should be with my faith. And so I called my mom and I told my mom, Mom, I can't pray. Please pray for me. There's something wrong with Chariton and we don't know what is wrong with him. We are at the hospital. My dad was on his way to a funeral, and so he had to make a detour and come to the hospital. Now at the hospital, I am struggling. I am trying to pray. I can't pray. And so all of a sudden a Bible verse came to mind. And this was the Bible verse. The Bible verse says, healing is the bread of children. And so, because I couldn't pray, and I knew that God answers prayers 3 ways. God can answer your prayer by a no, a yes, or a wait. And I couldn't really risk it for God to give me a no for my prayer. And so I knew that God honors his word. The Bible says that all things shall pass, but his word will stand. And these are the promises of God for us. And so I had to present to God his word. And his words at that point, the word I was holding on to for dear life, was healing is the bread of children. And I kept on saying it. I wanted to say it as many times as I could for that word to become real. And so I kept on saying, healing is the bread of children. And I started demanding my baby's full share of that bread. And so eventually my husband came and told me they have found a line. And just at that point, my dad arrived, and yeah, we were admitted. And my dad was given an assurance by the doctor, who happened to be his friend, that the baby's gonna be okay. And so we went into the wards, and it was the longest 4 days, because I felt that they were using antibiotics that were too harsh, and my baby was asleep the entire time. There was no time for eating, and I knew a baby needs food for him to recover. And so we had to change hospitals. And so we moved to another hospital where our son was able to receive occupational therapy, because Chariton had lost all the milestones that he had achieved. He couldn't hold up his neck, he couldn't sit, he couldn't stand. He had gone back to, the point when you deliver this baby and the baby, you need to support their neck. That was Chariton at 9 months. And it was a tough 12 days, because we stayed in that hospital for 12 days. Because you're in hospital, you're not unwell, and people are coming to see you, and you can see it in their faces that they are concerned. And you yourself also, you have moments that you feel as though your baby may be in that state forever. And we were discharged after the 12 days. And at this point, Chariton still needed a lot of help. And so we had to get an occupational therapist to come to the house to help him out. And this is not a cheap service. It was quite expensive. And he had to get therapy for 5 days in a week in the beginning. And that number went reducing as he got better. It took 1.5 years for our baby to go back to, to achieve all the milestones that he needed to have achieved by the time he was 2. Actually, my son started walking in the beginning of this year. It was quite a difficult time, because you go to visit friends and you find children who are even younger than Chariton doing things that Chariton himself couldn't do. But I can tell you that God is a miracle worker. And when God heals and when God saves, he does it once and for all. And he does it completely. He does it fully. Because today my son can walk, he can talk, he can play, he is jovial, he has an amazing appetite, and he's a happy child. And regardless of how difficult that time was, the pain, the tears have already been wiped away, because now my son is well. And during that time, we had low moments, because we really had great hopes for this son. We have great hopes for this boy. My husband has played basketball since he was a young man. And it was his dream. It has always been his dream for one of his children to play professional basketball. And He thinks that Chariton is that boy. And so even during the time that he was in hospital, when he couldn't even wake up, we took photos. So that when the time comes and when this dream comes to reality, if indeed it's Chariton's choice to follow that path, we'd be able to show the journey of this boy. Even when he becomes an accountant, if that's what he will want to do, we'll share the journey of this boy when God saved this boy from the jaws of death. And so I want to tell a mom out there who's worried, who has to step out and attend to the needs of the family by going to work. I need to tell you that your children will be okay. Your child will be okay. Our children are not taken care of by nannies or by us as parents. God takes care of our children. These children are gifts from God, and the Bible says that the blessing of God maketh rich and addeth no sorrow. And so if these children came from God, all we are to expect from this blessing is joy, amazing joy, laughter in our homes. And so be encouraged. Step out of your homes with confidence, knowing that God has your back. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. Kindly share with your family and friends. If you have not subscribed to this channel, kindly do so. And until next week, when we share more stories about my career journey and my journey as a mom, I'll see you. I am praying for your family during this time, that God may provide for you and protect you during this pandemic. Stay safe. God bless you.